Alright, welcome Raider Nation to episode number 2 of my YouTube channel. Today we're going to go over the season's predictions and wins and losses by the Raiders. Just my opinion of the wins and losses. Going to touch on the Rams and Raiders Saturday night preseason game. And I want to start by thanking Chris H., Kenny Pluckett, and Sean Tuttle for their comments. Comments always welcome, even positive or negative. I want to say to Chris H., that was a very good and in-depth look at the Broncos and Chargers, and I wish I would have had that to put on the first show. As I muddled over my words, that was very good, Chris H. Thank you for that. Kenny Pluckett, I hope you're wrong. Mr. Tuttle, I hope you're right. Sorry. 14-3 sounds good to me. 7-10 sounds really bad. I'm going to lean toward Mr. Tuttle, but thank you very much for that. I always invited, and I will post up the comments that you send me. I will put them on there and give credit where credit is due, guys. Thank you. I want this, hopefully my whole goal for this YouTube channel, as goofy as it seems at times, is to get the fans involved and make it a channel of ours, not of mine. So thank you very much, and I hope I hear back from more of you guys. Hopefully some of you guys will subscribe and continue to leave comments. So real quickly, I'm going to touch on the Rams Raiders preseason game. I don't think a lot of preseason games because I don't really know sometimes what I'm looking at. And what I mean by that is I don't know when I see Hobbs making a good play or Leatherwood stopping a defensive lineman. I don't know if these guys are second team. I don't know what line of talent they are, is what I'm saying. I mean, I understand the game. I just don't understand where they're at, or even if they're going to make the team in 3 weeks when the season starts. So I don't put a lot into it. You know what I think of rookies, and I've been proven wrong several times on that. But I often give rookies 2 years before I even judge them. That's why I don't judge Damon Arnett. The craziness that's went on over Arnett is ridiculous by PFF and a lot of these other people, because the guy hasn't even had a chance. They're rookies. There's a reason the NFL is so hard to make it in. The first year of a rookie usually does not play out the way we all wish in our fantasy world when we draft them. Go back and look at all the rookies. Now, as some of them are starting to do good, some are starting to do bad. There's teams that's done a lot worse than the Raiders on their picks. Seattle, hell, they don't hardly ever even have a first-round pick, nor Kansas City. And when they do, they're picking low, so I think I said in the first YouTube video, if you want to judge Mayock, you got to judge him on the Crosby, Renfro, all them picks as well. Because the first pick is kind of a crapshoot. It's kind of a pressure pick. You know, you're trying to get to maximize your talent. It's a really hard deal. I'm happy with what Mayock and Gruden have did, but I'm not going to ramble on. I've already rambled on about that. The things I will be looking for in the Rams game, I want to see Sullivan Thomas. I want to see more of him. I want to see a little more Darius Pylon. I'm very impressed. I know that he's beating second teamers, but this guy hadn't played in 2 years. Second teamers, we just beat the competition in front of you and then move on from there. Sullivan Thomas played pretty strong. Cleve Farrell, I still think, is a really good player. He gets a bad rap. Colvett hurt Cleve's, him moving up. I already went over all that. Let's not do it. I do want to see Nate. I want to see Nate Hobbs cover and Trayvon Mulling. I want to see these two guys in coverage, but I don't think the Rams are going to pass the ball a lot because they're not playing their starters. So we probably may not get a lot out of them in this preseason camp. I think we'll see more of the defensive line. Tanner Muse, I want to see some more of him. Javin White, I would like to see him play a little better. I know he played decent. He was all over the place, but I want to see him react a little quicker, if that makes sense. And Tanner Muse, I'm praying this guy turns out to be good, because if he does, it's a huge fix for the Raiders. Little concerned over Richie Incognito. I know my pronunciation is terrible. I do apologize. And a little bit over Morrill. I want to hear that them guys are healthy. Maybe bring in a KJ Wright. Of course, most of us are like little kids on Christmas. We always want another player to be signed. I'd love to see McCoy play, but he's not going to play in here. And we need to see Leatherwood improve in pass protection. To me, he's an average first-round offensive lineman is what he's played like out of all the offensive linemen. You go back and look, most of your offensive linemen don't do great, even in the first round, their first year in the NFL. Colton Miller, look at the guy. He starts out a little shady. Now he's one of the better tackles in the NFL. So I think Leatherwood will be fine. I think he's got to improve on his pass blocking. And then I'm going to keep one eye on Keelan Doss, because I think this guy, I'm so curious about him because he looks so much better than the first time we seen him. But I think the problem with Doss is that we can't see him with the first teamers. He's never going to be out there unless it's a game Derek Carr throwing to him. And I'd love to see what he looks like against starting defenses, because the guy looks pretty darn good against second and third stringers and looks a lot better than he did in year one. I haven't heard a lot of talk about him, and I thought he played pretty good in the Seattle game. So I definitely am going to keep an eye on Keelan Doss. I'm rooting for this kid. I don't know why, just certain people you get attached to on this team and you want to see them do good, kind of like I'm rooting for Trey Regis, because they're underdogs. And as Raider fans, aren't we always feeling like underdogs? Didn't we just grow up being an underdog? I think so. But anyway, that's the things I'm going to look for in this game. I seen we're 6.5 point favor, 7 point favor now. I guess if I was betting on this game, just because I was really needed something just to root for, I would definitely take the Raiders minus the 7 or 6.5 if you just need to entertain yourself. I do think the offense is going to score a lot, because I think Peterman has been in this offense so long. He's pretty effective against second and third teamers. So I think the Raiders will, I think they score 27 points, maybe 30 if they get a few turnovers. The Rams, I don't know if they even score 14, because I don't think McVay even tries in these games. So if you were just desperate to gamble on something, I would definitely take the Raiders in there. I don't know about the over. I think if the defense scores a touchdown, I think the Raiders score 3 touchdowns in this game. Just because I think the reason I say that is Peterman's going to do better this game than he did last game. Last game, now that he's had a lot more work with this offense and had a whole game, and I'm sure he sat there and looked at the film and seen 5 open guys or something that he missed, plays that he missed, and I watch for him to improve. Not that it matters, because it's against the second, third teamers. So anyway, enough on the preseason game. Like I said, preseason is what it is. I enjoy watching them, though. I'm just so happy to see football back and fans in the stands. So it's really cool. So let's get started. Let's get started on the schedule. Let's go over the predictions, see what we got going on here. Baltimore's coming to town. That's what we got to be thinking about, right? I think so, Raider Nation. Baltimore coming to Las Vegas on Monday night. Oh, man. I'm telling you what, when I think about it, the hair stands up on my arms sometimes. Number one, I hate Baltimore more than most Raider fans, because I always think they got to give me Super Bowl when they literally Saragusa slammed Gannon into the ground to give them the easy win. I think if Gannon stays in that game, we beat Baltimore, and then we beat maybe the worst team to ever play in the Super Bowl, the New York Giants. I mean, Baltimore just ran over them. Whoever got to the Super Bowl was going to win it, and if we get to that Super Bowl, we never lose Gruden. Al Davis never trades him away if he wins that Super Bowl. Anyway, I love to rattle. Sorry, I got reminisce about the old Raider game. So let's look at the game. Let's get back to what I'm supposed to be talking about. The Baltimore Ravens, a team that I hate very much, but I'm going to try not to be a homer and looking at this game. So all I'm going to do is give you some stuff that I've looked up and looked at, and reasons I think the Raiders will win this game. I think it would be hard for any team to come into Las Vegas and beat the Raiders on opening game on a Monday night. I think this is going to be like a college atmosphere, and I think the adrenaline of this young team, they're going to be pumped. I also think Baltimore has no idea what the Raiders will be doing on defense. We do know what Baltimore will be doing on offense. I think that this game might start out close, but I think the Raiders pull away and win this handily. Now, most people are going to say that's crazy. So let's go over why I think that. Number one, I'm going to criticize Baltimore a little bit. Baltimore struggles against good teams. Do you know last year Baltimore beat one playoff team. They beat the Browns twice. They lost to the Titans during the regular season. So let's flip it all the way back to when Phillip Rivers was with the Chargers, went to Baltimore, Lamar Jackson's first year, when Baltimore was favored against the Chargers and knocked them out first round of the playoffs in Baltimore. So the next year, Baltimore has one of the better records in the NFL, and the Titans walk in there and just bum rush them, pound them into the ground running the ball, and Baltimore once again is knocked out of the playoffs. So then they get, finally, Baltimore gets the break they need. They get a tired, worn out, injured Titan team in the playoffs last year and beat them, not convincingly. It was a game all the way up until the fourth quarter. But they knocked the Titans out of the playoffs. Then they go to Buffalo in what looked like Buffalo's easiest win in the playoffs. Even knocking Lamar Jackson out of the game eventually, but I think that was the third quarter. But that game was never close. Buffalo ran over him. So my thing is, whenever Baltimore is in a big game, they struggle. This is a big game. This is a huge game for the Raiders. Not so big for Baltimore. So you've got to look at the Raiders. Who is going to be more up for this game? It's the Raiders. The Raiders' defense is much improved. This defense, like I commented in my last episode, is one of the faster ones now in the NFL. That's what we need to beat Lamar Jackson. They're not going to shut the Ravens out, but I do think the Ravens aren't going to see what's coming when they walk into Vegas. And I don't think the Raiders will not give up on this game at any point in time with this Vegas fans opening game. I think this game is going to be like the Raiders are possessed, like a college atmosphere. We definitely will have the 12th man in this game. So I don't see any team. Okay, so here's the way I think about this game. And Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady is the kind of quarterback who would have to walk in this Monday night game and pull off a victory here. And maybe even like a Mahomes. But not Lamar Jackson. He's not of that caliber. And that's the kind of quarterback it's going to take to beat the Raiders in this game. The reason I say that, let's go back last year. Most of the Raiders' losses, except for the few gimmick losses that they had, and I'll go over that, were by really good quarterbacks. Josh Allen, Buffalo. Phillip Rivers, pretty good quarterback, but the Colts were all around good. They should have beat Buffalo in the playoffs. So then you look, and Tom Brady got us. Josh Allen beat us. The Falcons game is the one enigma that we really can't figure out why we played so bad in that game. A lot of people will say letdown. My theory is that we just didn't have depth. The team was young. They lost the Chargers game, and they just got drained. And that's a thing. That's a thing that happens. You see a team go through an emotional loss or an emotional win, it affects them the next week. That's a true thing. It's not something that my opinion just throws out there. We've seen it. That's why we love football so much. The emotions, just the craziness that takes place that makes everything different. And that's, I don't have the 100% right answer on why we lost that Falcons game, because that's the one game doesn't make sense. But Mahomes beat us, Josh Allen beat us, Tom Brady beat us. All these guys, we've all heard of them. They're all household names. So I don't know that Lamar Jackson's that guy. We'll see. But I'm willing to put my money that the Raiders knock off the Ravens home game. I think it's just a bad spot for the Ravens. I think it's a bad spot for probably 29 of the NFL teams walking in on Monday night to play the Raiders in Vegas. It's just a bad spot. Now, with that being said, here's another bad spot. And this is strangely familiar to me, to when the Raiders beat the Saints on Monday night. The NFL schedules them to fly to New England to give Belichick time to prepare for the Raiders. They walk into a buzzsaw and they lose to Belichick. But the Raiders struggle. They send them all the way over on the East Coast to play the Patriots on an early game, and everything was stacked for the Patriots. And we were in the game for a while, but it just was not stacked well. It didn't stack up well for the Raiders after an emotional Monday night win at the Saints. I think the NFL should really look at any two teams that play on the Monday night game. Both of them should play at home the next week after that. It's just a huge advantage for any team flying across country. And this advantage is going to lie with the Steelers. But, and here's the but on this, I don't think the Steelers are as good as what everybody else thinks. They got problems on the offensive line. TJ Watt, their number one rusher, is still barely practicing. And I don't know if he'll be 100% for that game. Bud Dupree is gone. The offense of the Steelers is not as good as the offense of the Raiders. I still don't think that I feel like this is a stone cold win for the Raiders. I still could see them losing this game. I'm going to predict that it's a sloppy game that the Raiders win. That maybe they play off the emotions and adrenaline that they had on the Monday night win over Baltimore. And if they do, the Raider team will be set in motion. What we will see, what all of us Raider fans have been waiting. Because if they beat the Steelers at home, they should win the next 5 games. The Dolphins, very overrated. And I think they made a true mistake by getting rid of Fitzmagic, because I don't think Tua would have beat the Raiders. I don't. It's not that I don't think. I know the Raiders' terrible defense last year was beating up on Tua. We were dominating that game. And the other part about that, you don't think the Raiders, some of them have got that game circled on their schedule. This is a revenge game. Now, it would have been nice for the Dolphins to have this game back in Miami, but kind of like the Cleveland Brown game, well, I'll go over in a little bit. It's kind of the same scenario. So the Dolphins, who lucked out beating the Raiders, are coming back to Vegas. No way they get out of the win. Tua's not that good yet. That offense isn't that good. You have to have a good offense to beat the Raiders. Or I just think you have to. I don't care how good your defense is. I still think the Raiders can score on anybody, on any team in the NFL. And Tua is not good enough to come into Vegas and beat them with a crowd. That whole game was a debacle of the worst, of so many different things. Gruden settling for a field goal there, or we never even talk about this loss. That was, and I'm sure John would say that he blew that game. You know, I mean, every coach messes up. Raider Nation can't want to fire Gruden every time there's a mess up. The guy's a great coach, and time will tell. He's building a monster in this Raider team. Hang on, Raider Nation. We're getting ready to get a lot better. So anyway, the thing I wanted to touch on this Dolphin game, just go over real quickly. It's water under the bridge, I know, but I'm going to whine a little bit like a Raider fan would if he was unfairly beat. When Arden Key face mask Fitzmagic in that game, go back and look at one of the most atrocious holding calls you'll ever see on Arden Key. The reason he even face mask is because the offensive lineman is pulling him down by the neck. He just reached up for Jersey and ended up getting a face mask. At worst case scenario, that should have been offsetting penalties. But with all that being said, we should have punched it in for a touchdown in the first place. I just wanted to point that out because nobody in ESPN, none of the announcers in the NFL who was doing the game, nobody even mentioned that. But look at it, it's plain as day. And they looked at it 3 times when he face masked, and nobody calls out that holding call. So that's my thought on that. The Dolphins do not beat the Raiders. I'm sorry. So if that's one of the losses that would have only gave us 7 wins, I got us at worst case scenario 2-1 or 3-0. I think 3-0. I think the Steeler game is a bit tricky, but I just don't think they're that good. Then it's the Chargers. You know, everybody's darling of the NFL now because Herbert comes out in the COVID year and throws lights out when there's no crowd. You know, okay, Herbert can prove me wrong, but my experience of all these years of watching the NFL, and I've seen a lot of quarterbacks come out that first year and look good and not look so good the second year. So Herbert's got some stuff to overcome. I take you back to the Patriots game when they had time to prepare for him. 45-0 is what the Patriots, and the Patriots weren't that great last year. He can put some stats up. He can put some touchdowns, but he wasn't putting wins up. They should have been 6-10 last year if the Chiefs didn't clear the bench. Clear their starters. Let me rephrase that. So I will be very surprised because us going to LA, the LA Chargers, that's a home game for the Raiders. I think we win this game, and I think it's rather easy because our defense has improved enough to give this kid some problems now. We've had time to prepare for him, and here is the main reason I think that the Chargers are going to have major problems with the Raiders. The defensive coordinator for the Chargers, who watched Justin Herbert practice for 16 weeks last week, was Gus Bradley. If you don't think that's an advantage for the Raiders, then you're not paying attention to football at all. And the other thing is, a new coach, new offensive coordinator. History, that's another thing history tells us. And I know I use that term a lot, but that's what I got to go by. Because I've seen history come and go in this league. History tells us that new coaches coming in doesn't always fare so well. The Browns are an enigma. That did last year, but not at the beginning of the season. As the season went on, the Browns started to come on. And that team was loaded with talent. The Browns are much more talented than the Chargers. I know I get the Derwin James and Bosa, but I've never seen Bosa or Derwin James cause the Raiders any problem. So I'm going to give the Raiders this win against the Chargers for all the reasons I've just gave you. And we're just a better team. We're just more talented. I don't care what Colin Cowherd says. Common sense tells you. Look at the rosters. Look at who's Darren Waller on the Chargers. Who's Josh Jacobs on the Chargers. Derek Carr is better than Herbert. Herbert caught everybody off guard, no defensive practice. I've already went all over that, so I'm not going to keep beating that dead horse. So I'm going to give the Raiders a win there. So then comes the Bears. We're better than the Bears. Our defense probably is not better than the Bears defense. But like I said before, you have to have a good offense to beat this Raider team. And the Bears offense can't go toe-to-toe with the Raiders offense, and it is in Vegas. If it was in Chicago, I'd give the Bears more of a shot to win. But they're coming into Vegas, and I don't think they have the firepower to beat the Raiders here. This Raider offense, I think, will be top 3 in the NFL. I think your Chiefs and your Tampa Bay will still be 2 of the top 2. But I do think we're going to be in the top, maybe 4th. But we're going to be up there. And the Bears do not have the firepower to hang with the Raiders. That's about all I can really say about that. I know they got Khalil Mack. They've had a few changes here or there. I don't even know if Justin Fields will be playing yet, but I don't think a rookie quarterback going into Vegas is really what you want, and I don't think Andy Dalton has got a lot left in the tank. I mean, Justin Fields will start eventually, and it might be at this game. I just don't think they have the firepower to beat the Raiders. So that leaves us 5-0, in my mind. 4-1 if the Steeler thing doesn't work out. Like I said, I could easily see us getting beat by the Steelers, but I also could see us win. Then we play the Broncos. I do believe the Broncos are better than the Chargers on the roster-wise. And their defense, like the dream team of the old Philadelphia Eagles, a la Andy Reid team, is the same thing with the Broncos. If Von Miller comes back, if Fuller can get back to his old self, if Bryce Callahan, I think I said that wrong, if he can come back and play a full season. It's a bunch of ifs in there. Bradley Chubb had 7.5 sacks, and he's rated way higher than Max Crosby, who had 7 sacks. Their stats are strangely very close, but Bradley Chubb, by PFF, is rated the 24th best pass rusher. Crosby's not even anywhere in there. And I think I've already said that I would take Ngakoue and Crosby over Chubb and Von Miller. Their defensive line isn't that great, and their linebackers are not really all that good. Simmons is a really good safety, maybe one of the best in the league. I give him that. Don't tell me Patrick Surtain makes this defensive backfield his rookie year. I know he had an interception for a touchdown, but who did he intercept? Okay? So I think he's going to have a learning curve, and he may be one of the best defensive backs eventually. I just don't think it will be this year. Denver does not have the firepower to beat the Raiders. Barring a bunch of turnovers and Carr just have a miserable game, the Raiders win this game in Denver early in the season, being the cold weather's not there. And I think that the Raiders have showed that they can win in cold weather anyway. But I don't see... Last year, the Raiders won this game 37-12. I don't think Fuller Surtain is enough to make up that 37-12 victory. I don't even... When I look at the last game of the season, the Raiders had already checked out and still beat the Broncos in Denver. You can't let that happen, Denver. The Raiders were only half committed to that game. I watched that game, and it just looked like at times they were trying, at times they looked like they were ready to go home. And then all of a sudden, at the end, they said, you know what, we make one play, we beat the Broncos. And they did it. So, I will say the Williams guy that they drafted is going to be a problem later on. He is a good running back. I'm not a big fan of the Broncos coach. It's... Anyway, I'm not going to bang on that. I feel that we beat the Broncos. So there you go. We're 6-0 if that is if I'm right about that. Then we get the Eagles. I could argue all day that the Eagles do not have a chance at the Raiders, and that is in Vegas, and it's just, no. The Raiders win this game. It's just almost an extra bye week for them. There's no way this team... The Eagles, I think, are bottom 4 in the NFL right now. It's not. They're going through transition. New coach, new quarterback that benefited off the COVID. Defense is in shambles right now. They don't have a great running back, or their offense is a bit in shambles as well. So I think this is probably one of the easier wins for the Raiders of the year, this and the Bengals game. And then the bye week comes. This is where I think it gets a little tricky because I don't know what the New York Giants are. I know they did a lot of, like they signed Golladay. I don't think Golladay is even healthy right now. He's already got an injury, and if he is not playing in this game and the running back is not, he's struggling right now to get healthy. But I think the Giants have a chance to be a pretty good football team, but I just don't know okay. Let's go like this: if the Giants are what we seen last year, the Raiders win this game in New York. But I also think the Raiders have some kind of issue with playing in New York. I can't explain it, but they do struggle going to New York. They were pounding the Jets and just fell apart at the end of that game. I do think the Giants are better than the Jets. So this game scares me, but I do think they win. I think it's an ugly game that the Raiders probably kick a field goal and get out of there with a win. So I think at this point, that would put the Raiders 8-0. And then the Chiefs come to town. And I think if by some miracle I am correct, and they are 8-0, and the Chiefs come to town, I don't think we can beat the Chiefs at 8-0. I think if we are 7-1, we can beat the Chiefs. But I think the Chiefs and the Raiders, the rival thing, plays a big part in this game. It always has. Even when the Chiefs were better than the Raiders or the Raiders were better than the Chiefs, it's always been a hard game to win. Well, now they're both pretty good. In my mind, anyway, in my opinion. So I think if the Raiders, if I'm right, and they're 8-0, they probably lose this game here and then win in Arrowhead. Because this will put the advantage to the Chiefs coming in saying, oh, this team, they'll be overly pumped for the Raiders, and the Raiders will be, it's not probably making sense what I'm saying, and it's just a gut feeling. I think that we split with the Chiefs, but I don't know which way it goes. Either it goes in Vegas or it goes in Kansas City. So I don't know how to really describe why I feel that way. And a big part of me thinks that the Chiefs coming into Vegas this time, the crowd will be packed. Either way, I just think we split with the Chiefs. Let me leave it at that. I don't have the reason. Then we got the Bengals. And that's just what the doctor ordered after the Chiefs. So it's just like they're another bottom team. That Burrow, we don't even know how he's doing. Jamar Chase didn't play college last year. The defense is not that good. This is a Raider win. I'm sorry. This is a Raider win. Then we got the game that I think is stacked against us in a big way, and that's Dallas on Thanksgiving Day. Unfortunately, and I hate the Cowboys, and I don't really know why I hate them. I don't have a reason to hate them, but I do hate them. I think most Raider fans hate the Cowboys. But I do think that this is going to be a very hard game for us to win if Dak is 100%. I think that this could be a massive shootout, but I do think the Raiders will be a little hungover from the short ride, the short rest week, and I think Dallas could easily beat the Raiders. I'm going to give Dallas the win here because I just think everything stacks up wrong. Thanksgiving's a big deal to the Cowboys, and I do think Dak will probably be 100% at this point. He'll have some of the kinks out from his injuries, and I think the Raiders lose to the Cowboys, and man, it hurts me to say that. It really does, because I don't like losing to the Cowboys, period, at any time, no matter how bad or good we are. So I'll give the Cowboys the win here. And then we play Washington football team. I keep wanting to call them the Redskins. Washington coming to Vegas is a win for the Raiders. The Washington football team does not have the offense to hang with the Raiders. And like I said before, the Raiders can score on anybody. Coming back to Vegas is not going to be a good place for this Washington football team. The Raiders are going to have extra rest because they played on Thanksgiving. This does not stack up good for the Washington football team, and I think the Raiders get a victory here. And then we go to Kansas City. I don't know which game the Raiders win. I probably win in Vegas. They probably lose this one. And I think this is where the Raiders are going to hit a bump in the road, because the worst scheduling glitch for the Raiders, kind of like the Dolphins going back to the Raiders on a revenge game, this works the other direction with the Browns. So we went into Cleveland and beat them last year, where the Browns played terrible, windy game, and the Raiders get out of there with a win. And I'm sure the Browns were not happy about that, and this is a bad spot for the Raiders, and I just don't think we can pull it off in Cleveland back-to-back years. Not in the middle of December, which is a December 18 game. It's going to be cold there, and I just think this stacks up well for the Browns. And I think this is a loss. So I've got us at 3 losses here. Then we play Denver at Las Vegas. Probably another game that Denver's already thrown in the card. They're probably out of the playoffs. They come into Vegas, and I think we roll the Broncos up. And this leaves us to going to Indianapolis. And I wish I could tell you that I feel definitive one way or the other in this Indianapolis game. I have no idea what this Colts team is. I know they beat us pretty handily in Las Vegas last year, but it's a bit different team. I don't know if they don't have a decent quarterback, and we know Philip Rivers would give up one of his firstborns to beat the Raiders. Not really. I mean, Philip Rivers is a good dad. I'm saying that sarcastically, but so we know Philip Rivers had it in for the Raiders, and this is the first time in a while he's had a team to beat the Raiders, and he took advantage of it. The Colts are a good football team all the way around, but without a good quarterback, they will not beat the Raiders. I don't know what Wentz is. I don't know if he's going to be a good quarterback. I don't think he makes it to the year, but I don't know if they go get another. I don't really know what the Colts are at this point. If they're as good as they are last year, I could see us very easily losing this game, but I don't think they will be. I think that they will not have a starting quarterback that is above even average, and I think the Raiders have a really good chance of beating this Colts team. And then we end with the Chargers in Vegas, and I think that enough said. I've already said it. You already know the way I feel. There's no way the Chargers come in there and beat us, and that's if the Raiders need this game. Because if we are just a wild card, and we're locked in at a wild card, we will not play the starters in this game. I think we have a shot at the division here. Yes, we need a little help. We need a little help from the Packers and maybe the Buffalo Bills. And I'm talking about them beating the Chiefs. But I'll tell you what I really would keep an eye on, Raider Nation, is I feel that the Browns beat the Chiefs in this opening game. I think the Chiefs still knock off the Ravens, but I do think that the Browns beat the Chiefs week 1. It's a revenge game and a game that they very easily could have won, and something doesn't feel right with this Chiefs team, with me. Watching that Super Bowl, I know that everybody says it's an offensive line, but was it? Or did they just figure out something with Mahomes? What happened there? We'll see. I'm very interested to see how this Browns-Chiefs game plays out. I mean, I wouldn't bet it. You're not going to bet against the Chiefs with the Browns, but I do feel like there's a good chance the Browns go in there and knock Kansas City off week 1. This Browns team, I consider them to be a true Super Bowl contender on the AFC. I really do. I think they can beat the Bills because their defense is really stacked. And their running game, and that's what it takes to win in the playoffs, and that's what they have. The Chiefs' depth has fell off big time. And we don't even know what's going on with Ford and these legal issues, and that will hurt the Chiefs a lot if he's not there. I'm not saying that the Raiders are more talented than the Chiefs, by no means. I still think that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. But before you get too caught up in that, just remember that the best quarterback in the NFL don't win a lot of Super Bowls always. Dan Marino. There's a lot of... Look at Aaron Rodgers. He's been the best quarterback in the NFL for a long time. He's got 1 Super Bowl win. Andy Reid has had 3 shots to win the Super Bowl. He couldn't beat the Patriots in Kansas City. The 49ers should have beat him, was dominating him, come down to about 3 plays, and the Chiefs ended up winning. And the guy that everybody wanted in Raider Nation was Sherman. I did not want this guy, for he's the one that cost the 49ers, in my mind, the Super Bowl. He let Tyreek Hill get past him. How you let that guy... I mean, let anybody get past you, but not Tyreek Hill. And then Jimmy G can't make 1 play for a first down. They should have lost the 49er game in the Super Bowl. But they won. I got to give them credit. The Chiefs are good. I'm not going to sit here and bash the Chiefs. They're one of the best teams in the NFL. They're more talented than the Raiders. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. But then they have a chance at another Super Bowl, and then we're just going to say, well, their offensive line fell apart. Well, if Mahomes is the quarterback that he was so penciled in to be, shouldn't he have pulled that game out still? Once again, Brady's there knocking him out. I mean, I'm sure Mahomes can't wait till Brady retires. So just for the record, Andy Reid's got 1 Super Bowl. John Gruden's got 1 Super Bowl. Andy Reid's had a whole lot more shots at it than John Gruden. But like I said earlier, I do think John Gruden's chances are coming here soon. So anyway, that's what I think about this. I think we are either 12-5 or 13-4 is my prediction. I hope that Sean Tuttle is right and we are 14-3. And I do think it's possible. We have to have a ball bounce our way a few times in a few of these games. Like just a dirty, ugly game in Dallas on Thanksgiving Day. Or what if Dak doesn't play in that game? If Dak doesn't play in that Dallas game, we will go in there Thanksgiving and knock them out. You have to have a good offense to beat the Raiders. that's all I got for you today. So I just want to say God bless you, Raider Nation. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe down below if you can. And please leave me some comments. I'd love to bring them on the show and just address them. I will have a show Sunday. I'll be putting one out Sunday, so look for it. Oh, I'll be going over the Rams game, tell you what I liked, what I didn't like, and what I've seen, and anything that stands out. You know, like I said, it is preseason, but there's always some stuff that's very interesting in there, just like the first preseason game. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.